Hi guys, happy Types on Tuesday. Thanks for watching my channel. This is actually the last Types on Tuesday I'll be posting for a little while. I'm still going to post videos, but I'm not going to limit myself to the itinerary that I set out because I've just found that I'm not always ready to release content, and I'm preparing for a baby child. And so who knows when I will be able to post and when I won't, but I appreciate you coming along for the ride and for your support, and I hope that these videos bring you some sense of comfort or just know that you're not alone and that there are other people who are typology geeks and who think a lot and whatever else. Just in general, you're not alone, and you are enough as you are. You don't have to do anything to prove it. That's a big one. Right now I feel like it's hard to accept that because a lot of us want to be productive all the time and want to have something to show and want to achieve and it feels like we should be doing more. And just know that whatever you're doing or not doing, you as a human, just living and breathing, are enough, and you are valuable and a wonderful part of this world.
Molly, the person who talks about things.
I'm going to talk about typology and just how I find it can be beneficial and how I can find it can be harmful. And I'd love for you to contribute to the conversation in the comment section below. So typology, I feel like, is very useful when trying to understand how we have many differences and we're not all operating with the same brains and the same processing and interpreting the same things, which is kind of like a given. You see that people are different, but I think people still assume that other people are going to react the same way that they did, and perceive things the same way that they do. And so it's a nice language for understanding that we're all different. And so I think it's one of the many languages for that. There are other systems as well. But I feel like it's helpful to know that that someone's processing something differently, and it doesn't mean that it's bad or that it's good. And you know the whole saying, the golden rule, treat others the way that you want to be treated. I feel like you should treat others the way they want to be treated, because it might be different than the way you want to be treated. So kind of learning everyone's strengths, weaknesses, and what kind of stands out about them personally can be a great way to better empathize and connect with the humans around you, if that's your goal. But I enjoy that about life. I think it's great to connect with people and understand them. And also, you don't want to take things to heart too much, you know, like perhaps like a thinker type might say something more blunt and it really wasn't meant to be an attack, but if you had said something like that, it would have been kind of laced with venom. And so when they say it, you interpret it the way that if you had said something like that, you would have been trying to hurt them. So then you respond as if they're trying to hurt you, if that makes sense. So I feel like it's good to kind of have like a second it's like you're installing an interpreter that it goes through one ear and then, I can interpret this differently. And you still might not know exactly what they mean or how they mean it, but I tend to be presumptuous and kind of assume I know where people are coming from and what their intentions are and what they mean. Sometimes it's good for me to check myself too and say, okay, maybe I don't know what they meant and maybe I don't have to, because also people don't always want to share. So in that way, I find it very helpful to understand the different personalities of the world around us. And you know, I've always kind of seen, this girl feels like this guy, like they have similar vibes, you know, and now there's an understanding of it thanks to Myers-Briggs, the Enneagram, and whatever else. So with that being said, I feel like sometimes typology, we can limit people to these letters and kind of try and fit them into this box, and that's where people get kind of aggressively denying its validity because they feel like they don't want to be put in a box, especially P types. I feel like if you're trying to type someone and they're like super skeptical and don't buy it, they tend to be a P. Not always the case, but J's are more open to categorization. And it makes sense because people want to be special and they want to have their identity in some way, and they don't want to think that there's so many others like them. But in the same sense, they do want to be comforted and know that they're not alone, which again, you're not alone. With that being said, we are all very different and unique, and we have our own contributions, and we have our similarities, and the way we operate can sometimes be eerily similar. It doesn't mean that our day-to-day choices and what food we like and everything can be figured out by this system, which you all know, I believe. I'm preaching to the choir. That's where that phrase comes from. I can't say really phrases normally because I'm just so aware this is a saying. I'm saying a saying. That's why I said it like that. So, also people can be turned off to the idea that you know them more than they know themselves, sort of thing, even if you know typology so well that you're sure this is the quintessential INTP or whatever. But if you can remember the day when you didn't know typology, if someone you don't know is telling you, oh, you're this thing, you're going to be a little skeptical and also like, oh, you can't figure me out that much. People want to be mysterious generally. So I think the way that we talk to people about typology, we got to be careful. You don't want to like, be like evangelizing them and type-evangelizing them and just talking about something that they're like, what is this freaky language you're speaking? Which is why I don't typically like to talk about it with strangers, but my husband, Franco, keeps bringing it up to his friends and stuff and wants me, like, he'll be like, oh, what type are they? And I'm like, let me get to know them because I don't want to make them uncomfortable, and it's a very personal thing, I feel like, being like, this is who I think you are, even though, again, it's not limited to who they are. I also think typology can get out of hand with people, well, there's mistypes happening, which we know about, people just taking the test and then saying, oh, this is what I am, and not knowing enough about it. There's also people who use it really lightly and for fun and are just like, oh, this is what Harry Potter character I am, even though like the chart will not be the accurate Myers-Briggs of the Harry Potter characters or something. So, but that's kind of harmless because it's just for fun. But it's also frustrating when I see that stuff in my feed because I never want to correct someone, but it's also like, I actually know what type you are and I think it could be really helpful. But that's also, again, presumptuous to be like, I know what type you are. And that's the thing, people have thought they know what type I am, and they might comment that I'm a certain type when I'm very well-versed in typology in general and know a lot about my type. But I also understand where it comes from because there is this sort of protection of the INFJ because there are a lot of mistyped INFJs. And I would happily be another type if I could be. And that brings me to my final point. I feel like not limiting yourself to the type that you are in life, knowing that your growth can make you look like a totally different type. If you're growing and becoming more open-minded or healthier in some ways, more balanced, I feel like it's really hard to type people when they're older because, especially if they're more balanced, because they've lived a life and they have, they're not as dense in like in their personality. I don't know if that makes sense. But I think it's good to find balance and to not limit yourself to your strengths and weaknesses according to the system. And so sometimes I really do try to shut it off and stop thinking about it so that I'm just a person. Yeah, sometimes I wonder, like, the more you say I'm an introvert, how much of this is excuse me. I said excuse me. Why are you getting so mad? The self-fulfilling prophecy, which is an easy word to say, just say it a couple times. Self-fulfilling prophecy, self-fulfilling prophecy, self-fulfilling prophecy. I say it all the time. It's really fun. So on that note, I hope you all have a really great night, and I hope that you do what you want to do right now. With the asterisks, so long as it doesn't harm anyone else. Bye. You are more than your type. You are more than the schlup next door thinks of you. You are a beautiful human. And take a breath and just know that you're not alone.